Hi, it's Suzy Rhoades with PassMasters. Welcome to this week's Questions of the Week. I have student questions related to options. Options is something I have received a lot of questions about recently, so I thought, why not just help everybody with some options? I'm not doing everything on options. I'm going to try to keep this at a manageable length. So this is what I received from a student. I am not retaining options. Help! I get call up, put down, but I cannot apply it to the logic of the questions when asked. So if this is how you feel, you are not alone. You are not the only student that feels this way about options. In this video, I'm going to use some real-world examples, and I'm going to focus on the buyer of the option. So this video is not going to do the seller of options. This video will help you for just about every single securities exam that's out there, with the exception of Series 63, doesn't have any options questions, and then the principal licensing exams 24 and 26 really don't have options either. But if you're taking SIE or Series 6, Series 7, Series 65, or Series 66, this video is for you. So let's look at some examples. So this here is the Level 1 options chart that I cover within the PassMasters course. Level 1 simply means that the seller of the call does not own the shares, they are naked, and the buyer of the put also does not own the shares. So when we do this options chart, which is very helpful for a majority of the questions on something like the SIE 65 exam, Level 1 tends to be their focus. You have to know the chart. Certainly, I want you to understand how the chart works, but if you never quite understand how the chart works, you wouldn't be the first student to pass the exam with not grasping all of it. That's, of course, not my goal. I do want you to understand it. That's why I'm making this video. So we're going to focus here on this side of the chart for this conversation. So the buyer of an option has the power. You need to know the synonyms for the buyer. The buyer is also called long, or the holder of the option. They have the power to do something. In the case of buying a call, they are paying a premium for the ability to call away the shares. So the direction of this arrow on the chart is very important. If the option is exercised, the buyer's going to buy the shares at the strike price. The test wants you to know, what are you when you buy a call? You are bullish. You expect the price to go up. The most you can make when you buy a call is unlimited. And the most you can lose when you buy anything is whatever you paid for it. So unlimited profit potential. Most make when you buy a call. Most lose when you buy a call is whatever you paid for the premium. The premium is the cost of the option. So we're going to focus on the call for now. You do need to know what strike price is. So it helps me to remember call up, put down. Call up your friend if you want to talk to them. Put them down if you don't like them. Don't do that. It's not nice. But the break even is strike price plus premium. Break even is strike price plus premium. So this is also on the options chart. So all the good stuff is on the chart. So you really have to practice making the chart. When you log into the time of your test, you put this on your scratch paper, erasable whiteboard thingy, and then it's there when you need it. But let's look at some real world examples. These are real world Apple options with an expiration date of June 21st, 2024. They are calls. When you want to buy an option, you have a choice of different strike prices. So here we have the column that has the strike prices. Now, when I pulled this data, the actual last trade for Apple was, here it is, $171.615. Now, I'm going to just say 0.62 just to make it easy for my brain. So the test won't do any more than 2 after the decimal. So you have different strike prices to choose from when you're buying a call. So let's review the intrinsic value chart. So with the intrinsic value chart, you put the strike price in the middle. And on a call, you want the market price to be above, call up, above the strike price. So we have a market price. We're going to put it here, $171. I said I was going to do 62 cents because I'm lazy. And the strike price, there's various different strike prices. So let's look at this first one here, this $155. $155 strike price. Is this option in the money? Is it? Yes. How much is it in the money? Now, use a calculator. I can't think without a calculator. I have an accounting degree. That is what accountants do. They use calculators. So we're going to do the market price, 171.62 minus 155. We have an intrinsic value of this very first option here and on this quote of $16.62. Now, why does she care about that? Because I want to show you that in the real world, what the premium is a function of. So an options premium is a function of 2 things: intrinsic value, if any, and what we call time value. So it's obvious what day it is today, because I pulled this information just now. When is this option expiring? Today? This month? No, it's not expiring until way out here, June 21st. So we have time. So the premium for this option, this last, better be more than the intrinsic value of 1662. Does that make sense? Why? Because there's time left until June. So the premium, $27.25. The intrinsic value, 1662, leaves us with, gotta check it on my calculator because you know math, 27.25 minus 1662 equals time value of $10.63. So the premium is comprised of intrinsic value, if any, which there is in this options contract, plus time value. So let's say that you decided to buy one Apple June 155 call at 27.25. What are you, bearish or bullish? You are bullish. If you buy this option, you are betting that the market price of Apple is going to continue to rise. So you've paid a premium of $27.25. So $2,725 because one contract is 100 shares. So how much can you lose if you bought this option? That is the most that you can lose, the premium. How much can you make? Unlimited, because Apple could go as high as the blue sky. Now, if you didn't want to buy a call on Apple and you just wanted to buy Apple stock, you would have to pay $171.62 times 100 shares for one round lot. That is a lot more than the premium than you would have to pay to buy this call option. So options give you leverage. You pay much less than the actual cost of buying the entire 100 shares. You simply pay the premium. So let's make up an example here. Let's say at expiration, you decide to exercise the contract. Now, of course, it's going to be automatically exercised if it's a penny in the money, but we're just going to be very simplistic in this story just to make sense of it all. At expiration, let's say that Apple is at, the price of Apple in the market is at $180 a share. So when you bought this option, you were out of your pocket $27.25. To buy the shares, do you have to pay $180? No, you have to pay the strike price of $155. So you're out of your pocket $155. Total that you're out of your pocket, we have $182.25. You think I don't check it with my calculator? You'd be mistaken. I always do. So the option gave us the ability to buy the shares at the strike price. We turn around and sell them at the market price. Did we make money or did we lose money? We lost per share $2.25. So the total that we lost, $225. We lost money because what was break even? So break even is $182.25. Break even is strike price plus premium. So that is this part of the T-chart. It's what we had to pay to buy the option plus what we had to pay to buy the stock. So we didn't make money because we didn't have the market price above the break even. Now we could exercise the option because the market price was above the strike. So that is a real world example of a call on Apple. Let's do another one. Let's do the opposite end of this chain. Let's do the 185 strike price. Buy one Apple, June 185, call at, well, let me ask you a question here. If the strike price is 185 for this options contract, do you think it's going to have a higher or lower premium than the one that had a strike price of 155? Market price is 171.62. It's going to have a lower premium, right? So let's just start off here with break even. Break even, 185, it would be the cost to buy the shares, to call away the shares if you exercise the option, plus the premium that you paid, $9.95, $194.95. Does this option have intrinsic value? So we have, in this case, a strike price of 185, and we have a market price that's down here of 171.62. Can you exercise the option? No. So what is this premium comprised of? Does it have intrinsic value? No, there's no intrinsic value. So the premium that you're paying, this $9.95, represents 100% time value, because time from November to June is quite a while. So you have some time for the market price to go above, to be able to exercise this contract, it must be above the strike of 185. Now, in order for you to make money, it must be above break even when you exercise the contract. So let's say that when you decide to exercise the contract, you have a market price of Apple. You decide to exercise the contract. Apple is trading at, let's say, 197.45. So I slightly change the order of the explanation here to make it hopefully a little bit easier for you to see that, are you going to make money or are you going to lose money here? Well, if break even's 194.95, let's make this 95, not 45. You're going to make how much a share? You're going to make $3 a share, 100 shares in the contract, so $300. So when you bought this contract, you are bearish or bullish. You bought a call. You're the owner of the call. You're long the call. You are bullish. You expect Apple to go above 185 by June. You paid a premium of $9.95. What's the most you can lose? $995. Break even, we did $194.95. And if at expiration or when you exercise the contract, this is just an example, the market price of Apple is $197.95. How much did you make? $300. So I hope these real world examples are helpful. The premiums are a function of two things: intrinsic value, if any. So in our first example, we had this intrinsic value of $16.62, and then the remainder of the premium was time value. So $27.25 was the premium, intrinsic value $16.62, time value was $10.63. In this second example, this is what? In the money, out of the money, or on the money? It is out of the money because the market price is below the strike price and we're looking at a call. So that means that the premium is comprised of 100% time. So let me just continue here with this. 171.62, because I'm silly, is the market price, current market price. And this option here with a strike of 180, in the money or out of the money? Out of the money. What about 175? Out of the money. What about 170? In the money. 165 in the money, 160 in the money, 155 in the money. So that it has intrinsic value. I when it's in the money. When on a call, the market price is above the strike. So think about it. If you can exercise the option and buy the stock with the option for less than the current market price, then it's in the money. It is out of the money when the current market price is less than the strike price. It makes no sense to buy the stock at 175, 180, or 185 when the current market price is 171.62. It's also true that those that are in yellow are in the money. They have intrinsic value. It's summarized with this level 1 options chart. Here, buy a call. You know the synonyms. You know the most you can make is unlimited. The most you can lose is the premium. The direction of the shares is from the seller to the buyer. And break even, strike price plus premium. You know that you are bullish. All right, let's do a put. When you buy anything, the most that you can lose is the premium that you paid. So whether or not you bought a call or bought a put, the most you can lose is the premium that you paid. The direction of the arrow, very important. You buy a put because you think that the market price of the stock is going to go down. This chart is not using this as a hedge. Hedges is level 2. It's a whole different conversation, and I'm not doing that in this video, but I'll do it in a subsequent video, yes. The buyer of the put has a limited profit potential. So buying a call is much more exciting. Buying a put, how low can the stock price go? 0. So in the best case scenario, you buy a put and the price goes to 0. You go into the market and buy the shares at 0. This is very not going to ever happen, right? You buy the shares at 0 and then you sell your shares. The direction of the shares goes from the buyer of the option to the seller. The sucker has to buy them for more than their current market price. So it makes more sense when we talk about buying a put as a hedge on your inventory, but we are not doing that here. We are buying a put without owning the stock. The only reason why we would buy the stock is because we can exercise the option. And I know in the real world, that's not exactly quite how things work, but we talk very simplistically to understand the concepts, to apply these concepts to the types of questions I expect you to find on your securities exams. So the most you can make on a put is break even. Break even on a put down. Break even on a put is strike price minus premium times 100. One contract is 100 shares. So obviously if it's more than one contract, then you're going to have to multiply by whatever number that is. 3 contracts, 300 shares. So most make is limited because the market price can only go as low as 0. The buyer of the put has the power to sell shares at the strike price. They're only going to go buy the shares if the market price has gone down and they can sell the shares for more than they paid. Did you get that? That's a good one. A lot of times people don't understand why you would buy a put. The reason why you'd buy a put is because you're only going to buy the shares of stock if you can buy low and sell high. So the market price is below the strike price. You buy the shares and then you sell the shares at the strike price. Buy low, sell high. I mean, isn't that what we want to do? Yes. So let's look at Apple examples. Puts. Why do you buy a put on Apple? Did you hear? The Apple phones, when you drop them, crack the screens. But you buy a put because you feel like you know that the price of the stock is going to go where? Down. You're bearish. So buy a call, you're bullish. Buy a put, you're bearish. Must know that. So we have the current market price, 171.62. Intrinsic value charts. This goes on your scratch paper. You put the strike price in the middle. You want the market price above the strike on a call, but we're doing puts. You want the market price below on a put down. So the strike price goes in the middle. So we have different strike prices available. Now notice they're the same strike prices that we had available for calls, but now we're buying puts. So 155, if the strike price is 155, the current market price is 171.62. Can you exercise this put? You can only exercise a put when it has intrinsic value. And this put does not. This put is out of the money because the market price is above the strike. So we have other ones we can choose from. We have 160. Well, 160 is still out of the money. Out of the money. 165, still out of the money. 170, out of the money. What about 175? So we have the intrinsic value chart. I'm going to put in these new numbers here. So if we have a strike price of 175 and we have a market price of 171.62, is this option in or out of the money? It is in the money. It has intrinsic value. So let's look at this options contract. So we buy one Apple June 175 put at 13.23. So 175 is the strike price. The current market price is 171.62. Does this contract have intrinsic value? Yes, it has intrinsic value. The difference between the strike price of 175 and the market price of 171.62. So the intrinsic value in this contract is $3.38. But the premium is more than that because of what? Premium equals time value plus intrinsic value. So how much is time? Well, 13.23 minus the 338, which is intrinsic value, gives us time value of 985. So that is because the price of Apple between now and June could go down even more. So the closer we get to expiration, the lesser the time value will be. The further away we are from expiration, the greater the time value will be. So if it's in the money, intrinsic value, there is that component to the premium. Whereas with these other ones that were out of the money, these premiums are comprised of what? 100% time, because there is no intrinsic value. These premiums here, when the contract is currently out of the money, are comprised of 100% time. Think about it. If the current market price of Apple is 171.62 and the option contract has the ability to sell shares at 155, how likely is that to happen between now and June? Not very likely. That's why this is such a cheap options contract. The premium is $6.30. I mean, it's possible, but it's not very likely. So if we already have intrinsic value in this options contract, it makes sense that the premium is higher than one that does not have intrinsic value. So what would break even be? Break even is strike price minus the premium. So once I write out the option, I always just do that, and then I know put down. So 175 minus the premium of 1323 gives us break even of 161.77. So let's talk about that. This can be a hard concept. What is that telling us? That is telling us that we can make money as the buyer of this put if we can go into the marketplace and buy the shares for less than this price. For example, when the option is exercised, the current market price of Apple is let's say 41.77. 141.77. How much money are we going to make? Well, did what we wanted to have happen? Yes, we ended up with a current market price of less than our break even. So we were out of our pocket when we initially bought this option, the amount of the premium, which is $13.23. We go into the marketplace and buy the shares at $141.77. We turn around and we sell the shares. So this is money in our pocket, the strike price of $175. So $13.23 to buy this, and then we paid $141.77 to buy the shares. So $13.23 was the cost of the option, the cost to buy the put. $141.77 was the cost to buy the shares at their current market price in my example. So we're out of our pocket $155, leaving us with a profit of $20 times 100 shares. So $2,000 is how much we made in this position. I do not want you to confuse break even, which has to do with profit, with intrinsic value. So these are two concepts that students often confuse, and I just don't want you to do that. So intrinsic value has to do with the market price on a put being below the strike price. So our strike price here is $175. This is the price that we can sell our shares at. So if the current market price is $171, does it have intrinsic value? Yes. 4 would be the intrinsic value in that example. So anything below the strike. So if it was 171, we went and we exercised the option. We bought the shares for 171. We'd paid $13.23. We sell the shares at 175. Did we make or lose money? We lost money. Why? Because we didn't get to break even. So break even has to do with profit. But a lot of times the questions on these exams, unless you're doing Series 7, aren't so much about what is the profit, but they're about can you exercise the contract. I think it makes sense to talk about what the profit is to make this conceptually make sense to you, which is obviously why I'm doing it. But oftentimes students confuse the difference between break even and intrinsic value, and I don't want you to do that. Intrinsic value has nothing to do with the premium paid. So in this hypothetical example here, you made money because you were able to buy the shares at less. How much less than your break even? I picked a number that I could handle in my head, $20 less per share. So that is an example of buying a put. What about these last couple that we didn't talk about? If the strike price is 180, the strike price is 180 and the current market price is 171, is it in the money or out of the money? It is in the money, so has intrinsic value. If the strike price is 185, the current market price is 171.62. It is also in the money, so that these premiums are comprised of some time value and some intrinsic value, time value, and some intrinsic value, time value. So it makes sense. This one here is the most in the money. It has the biggest difference between the strike price of 185 and the current market price. So its intrinsic value is the 1338. So it's a $10 per share difference. So 1338 would be its intrinsic value. The difference between 1338 and 1925 is time value. So I hope that helps. These can be a lot. Know the level 1 options chart. Know all of the directions of the arrows. Know the most you can lose when you buy anything is the premium that you paid. So that is the person that has the power in the options contract, the buyer of the option. The next video I'll do will be the seller of the option. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and turn those notifications on so you know when that sell options one comes out. Keep up the good work. I know options are hard, but you've got this. Happy studies. Study, 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 pass.